Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
And there we have it, the big debate last night. Beto O'Rourke coming away with the big line, talking about the Second Amendment, the Second Amendment rights, and what he's going to do. If you watched it, great. If not, we will have that for you here throughout the morning. We're at Nampa Christian High School, promoting our school, securing our future. Thank you so much to the staff, the parents, the administrators for having us here, the teachers. We so appreciate it. Appreciate CapEd, Credit Union, T. Mazda, Subaru for allowing us another season of Promote Our Schools, Secure Our Future. Since 2013, 20 schools a year throughout the Treasure Valley, over 120,000 kids that we have profiled, and so many schools, over 120 schools. It is remarkable, and we so appreciate all of you listening and all of you taking part in the conversation. And it is that time of year again. It is time to win Kevin Miller's Cash, where you can win up to $5,000. Simply go to KIDOTalkRadio.com to find out how you can win. And today's Kevin Miller's Cash code word is couch. Remember, listen at 6 and 8 and at 3 o'clock during Sean Hannity for the Cash code words. Joining us now is the superintendent of Nampa Christian Schools, Dr. Greg Wiles. Dr. Wiles, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kevin. Nice to be here.
You know, we talk about education is so important. Tell us about the folks here and how you all value education.
Nampa Christian School really is a family, and it's just not our teachers and administration that is involved. The parents are highly involved here at Nampa Christian, so they value what we have, our mission and vision, and it is really a team that comes together.
How'd the school start?
It actually started back in the 50s, and 3 little small Christian schools realized they could not survive together, and so those 3 schools came together in 1959 and started Nampa Christian Schools, and here we are today.
Boy, that is a long tradition. And what about the responsibility to keep that tradition up with the teachers and with the administrators?
Yeah, it is definitely a big responsibility, but something that I know it takes teamwork, so I'm not on the team by myself. So we have a fantastic board of directors and just our faculty and staff here, as well as our parents, as well as our donors. We just have a big group that keeps this vision alive.
Dr. Wiles, can you tell us a little bit about Christian and faith-based education throughout the Treasure Valley? Is it strong? Is it growing? And we'll talk about the growth here, but just in general throughout the Treasure Valley, how's faith-based education going?
Definitely good. You know, we're growing. I know our friends at Cove Valley are growing. You know, there's not a ton of Christian schools around here, but the ones that are spotted throughout the Treasure Valley, they definitely have their footprint here, and it's just something that I know parents value, so they make the sacrifice to be here or at a Christian school or at a faith-based school.
And the softball question of the day, why is that important to go to a Christian school, that these parents are willing to make that sacrifice? Because, again, you know, everything has a cost, sir.
Yeah, so we really call it, we're an extension of the home, and we're an extension of the church. So those 3 together create a school where the parents and the families know that they're getting the same values taught from the home to the church to the school.
Well, that is important in the crazy, wacky, zany world we live in.
I would totally agree.
So the growth throughout the Treasure Valley has been happening. Have you been seeing that here?
Yeah, we have a growth of 11.5%, and we're
Wow.
diapers to diplomas. So we have a preschool, an elementary school, a middle school, and a high school, and we've experienced that growth, and those are good problems to have.
They are. You know, you see a lot of schools, a lot of districts having trouble controlling that growth, having to build buildings, having to build extensions. How are you managing an 11% growth here?
Yeah, we've had to do the same. We've knocked down some walls in our library to make our classrooms bigger, added offices, took our auction office and split it up in thirds just so we could have another preschool class.
Boy, that is amazing. Can we talk about the education kids get here? What's the curriculum?
So the curriculum is faith-based, so we integrate God's Word, the Bible, into every class that we have. And each kid,
Even math?
Even math.
See, I asked a tough question.
But God is a God of order. So, yeah, each of our kids have a Bible class, but we do integrate the Bible within every class that they have, and the kids have a chapel every week, and there's opportunities throughout the week. Some are mandatory, like a chapel, and some of them are just come if you want. Like our seniors are leading a prayer group, and they meet every Tuesday, and there's about 50 of them in our school every morning.
Finally, the name Nampa, how important is it to represent Nampa and this great city?
2C, come on.
2C.
I love Nampa.
Right.
And Nampa's just a great place. We have just a tremendous amount of support from the businesses here, from the families here there that necessarily don't have kids here at this school, but we have so much support. And we have a great partnership with the other schools, even the public schools, and it's a fantastic place to live.
It is. And what do you want to say anything to the folks in Ada County and all?
Ada County, how you doing? Maybe step it up and act like 2C, right?
Right. There you go, TC Pride. Dr. Wiles, anything else you'd like to share with us?
Well, I just appreciate everyone around Nampa Christian Schools and just how they've helped this school for the many, many years, and we appreciate your support. God bless you, and have a great and fantastic day.
We love the God bless you. Thank you, sir.
All
Take
right.
care.
Thank you.
Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Remember, it is time to win Kevin Miller's cash. Today's cash code word is couch. Listen at 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. during Sean Hannity for the cash code words. By the way, there was a little thing called the Democratic debate last night. Here's what the president had to say.
He's talking about things that no other candidate is talking about. He's providing us with ideas on what we can do to fix things instead of bickering and talking about Donald Trump.
Well, there you have it. Actually, that was a woman talking about Donald Trump. Let's see. Here's somebody talking about former President Obama.
Biden's still in the best position, even though he took some knocks, especially with his association with Obama.
And there we have it. So let's hear what you have to say. 580-5436. 580-KIDO. We'll take your calls throughout the morning. By the way, if you were not watching that debate last night, we want to hear from you as we roll along. And let's get a summary from our friend Tanya J. Powers. Here's how much the president came up last night.
When the Democrats weren't attacking each other, they were going after President Donald Trump. South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg called the president out on China.
You know, when I first got into this race, I remember President Trump scoffed and said he'd like to see me making a deal with Xi Jinping. I'd like to see him making a deal with Xi Jinping.
Audio courtesy of ABC News.
While Senator Kamala Harris compared the president to a character from a movie.
Donald Trump in office on trade policy. You know, he reminds me of that guy in The Wizard of Oz, you know, when you pull back the curtain, it's a really small dude.
Prior to the debate, the president's campaign flew an airplane with a Trump banner ad behind it over the venue. In Houston at Texas Southern University, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
All right. And do we have Tanya J. Powers? Is that correct? Okay. We can send that on the email. That'd be great. Tanya J. Powers, good morning.
Good morning.
So
hey, how are you?
A little discombobulated, but we're rolling here on KIDO Talk Radio. So initially, was there a winner last night?
You know, I don't think anybody stood out because of. I don't think you can call anybody the winner necessarily because of jabs or fiery moments. I think if there was a winner in all of this, it was probably Elizabeth Warren. And here's why I say that: because she managed to get a lot of her policy stuff out. She answered a lot of questions, and she got several questions. But she sort of also avoided a lot of fire, which we saw directed a lot of that at Joe Biden, obviously. Even Bernie Sanders got some of that, back and forth. But I think Elizabeth Warren just sort of sidestepped a lot of that stuff and just kept on rolling, which is why I said if there was a winner, it might have been her. Now, as far as other candidates who really needed to make a splash and make sure everybody was talking about them this morning, I think Julian Castro did that. He did take a couple of jabs at Joe Biden, one of those seemingly over his age. There is, I think, a 32-year age difference between those two, which he did not waste any time highlighting. And that was one of the moments that a lot of people are talking about today, because it was kind of stunning. I mean, I was sitting in the media center. There's the debate area, and then there was a media filing center where they had the spin room and the syndicated shows and the news coverage and stuff like that. So I was in there watching that with all the rest of the media. And when he said that about Joe Biden, have you forgotten what you just said 2 minutes ago? And he kind of hammered him on it. Everybody in there was like, "Whoa, what?"
It seemed like it seemed like he was
attention getting.
Right. It seemed like he was pressing, though. And what was the reaction of the crowd to that? Because not that you're a political expert here, but you don't want to come across as mean as well. And
exactly.
And so how did Castro, at least according to the experts, balance that, or did he?
You're right. There was some feedback from the audience that you could hear them. They were surprised too. And on social media, a lot of folks were saying, wow, did he have to go there? I mean, did he have to, did he have to be so obvious about it? I don't know that will necessarily hurt him in the long run. I think it did exactly what he needed to do, which was get some of the spotlight, because again, this was not like the other two debates where you have a mixture of polling on one stage. This was all of the top polling people. So he knew that these are the people he has to get in front of in the line in order to get any kind of, notice whatsoever. And he did that last night. So did Beto O'Rourke.
So where do they go from here? We've got the Beto line, and we'll share it with people now.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
I will also say that particular bite where he says we're going to take your AR-15s and AK-47s, I would point out that the context of that, he said that as he was wrapping up comments about El Paso and the mass shooting there last month, and he was talking about the people there, which is his hometown. That was probably one of the more emotional moments we saw from Beto, but he was very passionate about that, which has kind of resulted in that soundbite. Next month's debate in October should be kind of interesting. All 10 of these will be back because they've already qualified for that debate. That debate's actually easier to qualify for than this one was, because it's got the same qualifications as this one did. So you have these 10 candidates who've already made the stage once with those qualifications, and then you have whoever else is going to be able to meet that by October 1st. They'll be on stage as well, so we might be back to 2 nights.
Well, I don't know how we just did it with one. Tanya J. Powers, I know you're very busy, late night, early morning. We always appreciate you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. So we will take your thoughts on the big Democratic debate last night. We'll also take your thoughts about other local issues. And again, we're talking education here at Nampa Christian High School. So appreciate them having us here as we continue to promote our schools, secure our future. Our phone numbers, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You go back to the comments of Beto O'Rourke last night, and if you did watch the debate, by the way, I hate to say this, but I was missing AOC. Now, I know that AOC is too young to run for president, but I was just missing a little dash of, I don't know what you want to call it, but between, hey, we're going to take your guns, and Joe Biden being the voice of reason, if you missed this, where he said that's not constitutional. And then Beto O'Rourke saying, well, we're not only going to take your guns, but we're going to have a massive forced confiscation of your guns. And it's funny, these politicians continue to make it up as they go. So we'll get your thoughts about that. We are just getting started on the right side here. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So let's go back to what Beto O'Rourke was saying. If elected president, he will make sure your military-style guns aren't in the hands of the American people. Speaking at last night's debate, the former Texas congressman announced his support for a mandatory gun buyback program for weapons designed to kill people on the battlefield. And by the way, this is a sound that you're going to hear on Glenn's show. This is a sound you're going to hear on the Sean Hannity show. This is a sound you're going to hear particularly on the Lars Larson show.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
And by the way, if you did see that debate last night or hear it, I'll tell you, sometimes people try too hard. I know in my life, when I want something really bad, you try too hard, you make a mistake, and you do something that crosses a line. Like Julian Castro last night when he went after Joe Biden because Biden couldn't remember something. You know, do you really want to pick on good old Uncle Joe? And if you're Joe Biden, you're thinking to yourself, I was the vice president for President Barack Obama. Why in the world do I want to put up with this from these kids? Why in the world do I want to put up with this disrespect? Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Dave.
We have a country where our economy, our democracy, our government are working for those with money and not so much for anyone else.
And there we have it, Elizabeth Warren. We'll get more on that in a minute. Plus, in the issue of fairness, here's what President Trump has to say about your right to keep and bear arms.
Republicans will forever uphold the fundamental right to keep and bear arms.
You know, again, getting back to this idea, do you really believe that the Democrats, if elected, would do this? I mean, they're pandering to their base. They're doing their own thing. They're making their points. But really, when Kamala Harris says, hey, we're going to take away your guns, I'm going to write an executive order. Joe Biden last night, again, God bless Joe Biden, saying, well, that's not constitutional. You can't just do that. But have we come to a point where that's where we're going in America today? That's where we're going, where we make it up as we go. And when you have a major candidate saying, I'm going to do it, really, who will stop him? Now, news of the plan wasn't taken well by Texas Representative Briscoe Cain. Sounds like somebody that you would hear in an old Western movie, right? Briscoe Cain here, who tweeted, quote, my AR is ready for you. It is ready for you, Robert Francis. Oh, my. The social media site removed the Republicans' message, saying it violated their rules against violence and wishing harm against others. Oh, my goodness. So, again, was there any really serious talk about the debate, during the debate last night, about the deficit? You know, was there serious talk about the future? Whether you are a fan of former President Obama or not, and I say this about a lot of folks, Donald Trump is probably the only one that really became elected president that didn't have that optimistic vision. You just go back in your lifetime, the presidents that had that vision, President Obama, President Bush, President Clinton, George Bush the first with the 1,000 points of light. There was no 1,000 points of light last night in that debate, was there? It was just smackdown. And by the way, if Joe Biden wants to run at 76, who is Julian Castro to go after his age? By the way, here's another one. Have you heard of Andrew Yang? Andrew Yang is an intelligent entrepreneur. By the way, he said something kind of strange last night. He said, quote, I'm an Asian and I hang out with a bunch of doctors. And you know, I know a bunch of doctors. I don't know what that meant, but it was just odd that he said it. But Andrew Yang is someone not to mess with. He is a multimillionaire, probably a billionaire out of Silicon Valley. So, in an intriguing campaign concept for sure, 10 families receiving $1,000 a month for a year. That's what he wants to do. Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang has proposed that as part of the Freedom Dividend. How would you like this? That if you're an American, you would get $1,000 a month if you're over the age of 18. Yeah, he thinks that's a good idea. Now, the Democrats kind of laughed at that, including Mayor Pete. We'll get to that coming up. But again, your thoughts on the big debate last night. Come on, sleepyheads. Time to wake up and start the day on the right side. Our time is 6:29. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Not to be confused with Maggie this time. Good morning, Doug. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio, joined by Mrs. Shannon Aslin, preschool director. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you with us. So, you know, there's so many people when they're looking for pre-kindergarten, pre-education, and they're always wondering what's the criteria to get their kids rolling in school. That's
right.
So very important.
Yeah, it is. And I think they're finding now that preschool is more and more essential. I know that there's really a big push in Idaho to get kids involved in pre-kindergarten. And kids are not ready for kindergarten if they don't have any type of pre-education. Parents aren't working with them on those colors, shapes, and letters that are so essential as pre-reading skills. So we offer care for 6 weeks up to 3 years.
6 weeks, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I was going to say, when do you start education? When's is there an optimal age?
I think it starts from the very beginning, and reading with your kids, having that tummy time. In those first year alone, they're learning to crawl. Talking to your kids is essential, and we do that nonstop.
That is important. What about the Christian part of it, the faith part of it? How does that work?
Yeah, so I think that's something that is pretty easily incorporated into our day. And we're singing those Bible songs with the kids, reading them little Bible stories, even from the earliest age of 6 weeks. And then we definitely start instilling that a little bit more as we get into the 2s and 3s, where we actually have Bible lessons every day.
Sure. So Bible lessons at 2 and 3, and then older, the more incorporation of the faith, and then the writing and the alphabet and all those things?
Yeah, so at 2 and 3, we really start introducing the letters, colors, shapes, and then our 3-year-olds, they're beginning to write their names and definitely recognize their names, and they have a strong foundation going into pre-kindergarten.
Now, how long have you been here?
I have been at Nampa Christian for 15 years,
Yeah.
and this is my going on 10th year of being the director of our preschool.
Boy, you take a look at your time here, the emphasis on pre-kindergarten education has grown in the state, and it's grown here. People are understanding that you got to get your kid in early. And any advice that you give people listening right now to finding a quality pre-kindergarten?
Yeah, and I would go to the Idaho Stars website. They are going to have the list of the centers that are going to be in the steps to quality. Our center is a step 4, which there's very few of those in the state of Idaho. Our next step is to maintain that level and then go towards accreditation. So I would definitely look at that Idaho Stars website. They're going to give you the best quality centers listed.
And what does it mean to you to be involved in educating kids? What personal satisfaction do you get from that? I mean, you live a fabulous life. I mean, lots of recognition, and you do it for the money. I mean, there's an internal drive in you, isn't there?
There definitely is. What other career can you be in where each and every day you have that, you can give that unconditional love and get that unconditional love and actually be making a difference in the future of our world?
Unconditional love. Boy, that's refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Anything else you'd like to share with us, ma'am?
I'm going to say we have very few spots still available in our preschool. If you have any interest in enrolling your child, we have spots available in our 2s and our 3s. And that's it. So we're on waiting list for the rest of the kiddos until next fall.
We like to call them KIDOs, but everybody else calls them kiddos.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
You have a great day.
Thanks.
Okay, folks, phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO, promoting our schools, securing our future, brought to you by CapEd Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru. We'll take your calls on last night's big debate. We'll talk about a few other issues at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. The state of California looking to ban private prisons, including the ICE detention centers. We'll give you that story coming up. In other news of the day, when you're taking a look at, the future, and when you're taking a look at just some of the crazy wackiness, many people say, Kevin, I can't take it anymore. I've got to, how should I say this, that I have to, I have to tune this stuff out because it's just so troubling. Well, then the bad people win, right? Then the bad people win when we're tuned out. And I get it. 3 hours of the Democrats going back and forth last night is a lot. But again, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, I believe it's important to stay in touch. And by the way, You're listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Let's take a listen.
That work for them and their families are able to keep them. That is the best possible path forward.
Healthcare is the top issue for everyone in the country. I want to make sure everyone gets 1 minute to respond. So Secretary Castro, Andrew Yang, and then Senator Booker, you all get a minute.
Thank you. And, I also want to recognize the work that Bernie has done on this. And, of course, we owe a debt of gratitude to President Barack Obama. Of course, I also work for President Obama, Vice President Biden. And
here it's funny because everybody is giving the compliments to President Obama. Nobody's saying, Joe, you are a great vice president. They're not saying any of that. They're just trying to give the backhanded compliments. Kamala Harris did the same thing. I think Mayor Pete did the same thing. But this is where it gets dicey. This is where it gets dicey, where Julian Castro went after Joe Biden. Let's see if you think it's personal.
And I know that the problem with your plan is that it leaves 10 million people uncovered. Now, on the last debate stage in Detroit, you said that wasn't true. When Senator Harris brought that up, there was a fact check of that, and they said that was true. I grew up with a grandmother who had type 2 diabetes, and I watched her condition get worse and worse. But that whole time, she had Medicare. I want every single American family to have a strong Medicare plan available. If they choose to hold on to strong, solid private health insurance, I believe they should be able to do that. But the difference between what I support and what you support, Vice President Biden, is that you require them to opt in. And I would not require them to opt in. They would automatically be enrolled.
See, here's the deal on this, and this is where Joe Biden is not running during the primary. Joe Biden is running as a general election candidate during a contentious Democratic presidential primary. His whole thing was, look, Bernie, you're a good Bernie. We love you, Bernie. We love Uncle Bernie. However, your plan is going to cost us $32 trillion. Elizabeth Warren, you seem like a nice lady. The president has some unique nicknames for you. We're not going to get into that. However, you haven't said how you're going to pay for your plan. You say tax the rich. That's only going to give you $3 trillion of the other 28 trillion dollars. Biden was making this point. So here you have Mr. Castro jumping in, a very young man, a very ambitious man, and he goes after good old Joe.
They wouldn't have to buy in. That's a big difference because Barack Obama's vision was not to leave 10 million people uncovered. He wanted every single person in this country covered. My plan would do that. Your plan would not.
They do not have to buy in. They do not have to buy in.
You just said that. You just said that 2 minutes ago. You just said 2 minutes ago that they would have to buy in. You said they would have to buy in.
Have to buy in. If you qualify for Medicaid,
are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago?
Are you
forgetting already what you said?
So, okay, Castro, again, making this mistake. He said it once, but then he continues on. And really, Castro is nowhere in the polls. He doesn't have the money. And you have Joe Biden getting into a fight he doesn't need to get into it with.
2 minutes ago? I mean, I can't believe that you said 2 minutes ago that they had to buy in, and now you're saying they don't have to buy. You're forgetting that.
I said anyone like your grandmother who has no money.
We need a healthcare system.
You're automatically
enrolls people regardless of whether they choose to opt in or not. If you lose your job, for instance, his health care plan would not automatically enroll you. You would have to opt in. My health care plan would. That's a big difference. I'm fulfilling the legacy of Barack Obama, and you're not.
I'll be surprised to him.
There we have it, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Got a little heated. Even our former friend Chris Matthews went at it with Mr. Castro last night saying, man, you rubbed it in. And you have people trying too much. There's a lot at stake here. Mr. Castro believes that he's the next Barack Obama, and it didn't have a problem with him going after poor old Joe Biden. But then again, if you're going to be the president, you have to be able to take it. Let's take a listen.
I support, and what you support, Vice President Biden, is that you require them to opt in, and I would not require them to opt in. They would automatically be enrolled. They wouldn't have to buy in. That's a big difference because Barack Obama's vision was not to leave 10 million people uncovered. He wanted every single person in this country covered. My plan would do that. Your plan would not.
They do not have to buy in. They do not have to buy in.
You just said that. You just said that 2 minutes ago. You just said 2 minutes ago that they would have to buy in. You said they would. I mean, I can't believe
the senior statesman on the after Biden.
There wasn't going to be an attack necessarily on Biden.
No, it was
gonna be
particular that you were going after Biden. One of our top reporters said to us on air at 7 o'clock tonight that you're coming in here tonight to go after Biden.
Well, then that reporter had it wrong.
I got it right.
But I didn't telegraph that before. What I did want to do was make clear the distinction on healthcare policy.
Yeah.
And, what I pointed out tonight was that last time we were on the debate stage in Detroit, Senator Harris told Vice President Biden that his plan would leave 10 million people uncovered.
Right.
And he said, no, it wouldn't. Well, the media, the fact checkers did their job, and they said, actually, yes, his plan would leave 10 million people uncovered. So I pointed that out tonight, and,
But inaccurately.
No,
because Biden came back and said that he had, in fact, said they would pay for people that couldn't afford it.
No, Chris.
Well, we could go through all the tapes.
Yeah, no, if we go through the tapes, what he's going to say, well, you'll see that he says...
I'm saying what he did say.
No, what he did say was...
And there you have it. These are Chris Matthews going after Julian Castro.
Said that if you lose your job, that you would automatically buy in. You could automatically buy into his plan. This is significant, Chris. This is the difference. When he says the words.
By the way, Chris is looking at his notes as we speak.
No, he said anyone who can't afford it gets automatically enrolled in the Medicare type option we have. No, anyone who can't afford it gets automatically enrolled in the Medicare. He didn't say you have to buy it. This is what he said before.
If you go to
and here you have it. Now Julian Castro making the same mistake. All right, 580-5436. 580 KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on your home for Hannity, KIDO Talk Radio. And rolling along, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Maybe you watched the Monday Night Football game. Maybe you had a good time. Maybe you, had dinner with your family or went to a soccer game. If you didn't watch the Democratic debate, here's the big soundbite.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
And by the way, we are at Nampa Christian High School. Kevin Miller promoting our school, securing our future. Thanks to CapEd Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru taking your phone calls about the big news last night. Beto wants your guns. Andrew Yang wants to give you $1,000 and free health care for everybody. Sounds like a good deal for me. If they throw in a pizza, I might be inclined to take a look at them. Let's go to Hank in Boise. Hank, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning. I had to draw some parallels between Joe Biden and FDR in his last couple years. He's aging very, very fast. If you look at photographs of Roosevelt, in his picture in 1944 and 45 at the time of his death, he aged extremely rapidly. And Roosevelt was suffering, of course, congestive heart failure, which was the cause of his cerebral hemorrhage that killed him. Joe Biden has had several aneurysms, and also on top of that, two aneurysms that I'm aware of. And when you age like that, I think that points to an underlying cardiovascular situation.
Well, I'll tell you, I think President Trump is the only one that hasn't really aged as of right now. You look at former President Obama, former President Bush, everybody, Bill Clinton, former President Clinton, they all aged in that office, right?
Well, yeah, I think I think partly is you talk about emotional intelligence in the sense that, of course, liberals would probably dispute me highly, but I mean, he's unafraid. He takes it on. He doesn't let this stuff beat him down. Biden is I would give Biden only 50% chance at that of going through one term. If he goes through two terms, he will be 87 years old in 2029 in two terms, and 87 years old, highly unlikely that he'll live that long.
And before you jump in there, here's an issue that I would love to get the answer to, Hank. Everybody talks about retiring, saving enough money, getting a pension, enjoying your years. With all due respect to our public servants, what is wrong with these people? Why not go to the beach and enjoy life instead of being on a debate stage being pestered by Julian Castro?
Well,
why not read a book?
It's ambition that drives these people. That's what they live for.
Right, but if you have 8 years left of your life, do you want it to be highly stressed, or do you want to chill till the next episode?
Well, this is where ego goes. Look at Roosevelt. He was under attack from, look at the Chicago Tribune, McCormick. I think he sensed that his end was near, but it stopped him from running from a fourth term when he knew he had congestive heart failure. He went to a medical test at Bethesda in March of 1944, and he was found with cardiac, and it didn't stop him from running for a fourth term. I don't think it would stop Joe Biden if they gave him that his heart was failing. I think he'd still run.
Well, Hank, we appreciate the call. Your thoughts on what Beto had to say there?
Well, Beto's trying to get attention. You take an extreme position. He's trying to gather the radical base, but at the same time try to make headlines and put some oxygen into his campaign. So he's sort of like it's like a football term. It's thrown for the what do they call that pass? You go the pass and go all for it. The I can't think of the term right at the moment, but that's what he's trying to do. And I think his campaign he's going to be probably out of this campaign in about a month. This is basically his last gasp.
Hank, thank you for the call.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
House Democrats are pursuing the most radical far-left program ever put forward in that historic chamber. It's the Democrats and it's the media. We're fighting two battles. The Democrats and the media. It's as if they're one, because they are one. They're working together. They're colluding, and they're obstructing.
Traffic and weather together. KIDO Talk Radio time is 6:57. All right, there you have it. Without a net, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So you hear the president saying what we've talked about for quite some time. There's collusion going on, and we'll get to that coming up. By the way, we are here at Nampa Christian High School, promoting our school, securing our future, thanks to CapEd Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru. And if I haven't reminded you about the KIDO Talk Radio app, it's awesome. And the reason why it's awesome is you can find out everything that's going on here. And unlike other Rudy-Pooty, mamby-pamby platforms or radio stations, we're not going to spam you with, hey, look, Billy and Flippy are playing Justin Bieber or Waylon Jennings or something irrelevant. Don't you hate that on your phone where you just get spammed all the time? Have no fear. We're trying to earn that valuable real estate. The App Store on Apple, Google Play, check it out today. The KIDO Talk Radio app, your home for Fox News, is KIDO Talk Radio.